Kia ora koutou, ngā mihi kia koutou. I was going to do a full mihi, but then I was told it was 6 minutes, so I thought, hey, just very quickly, a little bit of context. It's lovely to be here today. I suspect my dear friend and colleague got me along today to talk to you about different pathways into the heritage sector, and that not everything always works out as you plan as an 18-year-old or 19-year-old. So as Michelle said, my name's Chris Davey. A little bit of context, I'm a country boy, live in Balcairn in North Canterbury, if you know where that is, with my wife, my 2 dogs, cat and 7 llamas. So coming into town each day is a different life for me to my home life. But I've been lucky enough to be the education officer for the Air Force Museum for the last 18 years. And at that stage people go, wow, apparently these days, because people go very quickly through jobs. But if you love what you do, then why change? And I've had so many challenges over the last 18 years that I'm still there now and still loving it. So a little bit about me. Sorry to inflict a baby photo on you, but I was looking through the collection, and I have come from being a country farm boy to a museum professional. I had professional in quote marks because I still don't consider myself a professional heritage sector worker. I'm still learning every day that I'm in the job. But I came from a farm, went to a tiny little primary school of 25 children when I was a kid, moved on to Rangiora High School of 1,300 children when I was at high school, which was quite a contrast. And by the end of the 7th form, or year 13 these days, I was fed up with the school system and had no interest whatsoever in going on to do further learning. So aroha mai to all our university people here, but for me at the time it just wasn't a priority. So I ended up working in that tall building for United Bank for 7 years because I wanted a job, I wanted money and to buy cars and to, go into town and things like that as well. 7 years working in the bank just about killed me and just about put me in a straitjacket, but by the end of that 7 years I was branch supervisor out at Sydenham, and I realised that the banking industry is evil. I'm sorry if anyone works in the banking industry here, and I had to get out. So my very supportive wife, she's my wife now, supported me through going to university as an adult student, as a 25-year-old. I wanted to get into social work, so I started doing a psych degree and worked my way through that, finished my psych degree. And I was so interested in child development that I started doing a postgrad paper on child development and ended up doing a case study on a child in a school setting in the classroom. And sitting in the classroom for a couple of days watching this teacher just do amazing things with these tamariki, I just realised that I need to teach. And so off I went on another tangent and ended up going to a place called the New Zealand Graduate School of Education. And I should have put their logo up there because I really need to give them a big up. They're in direct competition with the Teachers College out at the university, and for good reason as well. Chat to me about that later if you want to. So I learnt to teach, and within a year and a half or so, and then ended up teaching at Amberley School in my neighbourhood. And they talk about teaching in the, what do they call it, in the fishbowl. You can't move around your local rohi or your local area without being noticed or everyone knowing what you're doing and what Mr. Davey's been doing in the weekend. I absolutely loved teaching there for 4 years, but the homework is just way too hard for teachers, too much out of hours work, too much stress, and I was too emotionally attached to the students that I was teaching. I couldn't just turn it off and finish it in the weekends. So much so, I've got to mention that one of those children in the photo that I always worried about most emotionally took his own life 6 months ago as a 23-year-old. And, if that's a signal that classroom teaching wasn't quite right for me, then I had to go and do something else. And I very much admire any teachers that stick with it over the years and do all that mahi and take on the load as well. So it was a great stepping stone, but At the time, I realised I needed to get out of teaching and teaching in a mainstream school. And my wife saw a photo in the paper, would you like a teaching job without the homework? So I applied for this job as education officer at the Air Force Museum. And I haven't looked back since. I managed to get the job. I teach a whole lot of different programs out at the museum, but I'm also responsible for developing programs, for somewhat promoting them as well, assessing them, tweaking them, and so on. And we're talking right from preschool through to high school and beyond as well, so adult learning, elderly groups, and so on. So I could be teaching preschoolers one day, in the classroom teaching high school kids about theory of flight the next day, teaching the Anzac story to some primary school kids after that as well. So a whole range of education programs. Today we had 80 Selwyn house girls turn up for a space camp week, learning all about being getting into the aerospace industry for the week. The one thing that has really come through again and again and again, and I've put a couple of photos on purpose in here, is the people, the colleagues that you work with, the volunteers that you end up working with, the tamariki and the adults as well. I can't stress enough for me how the people approach or the contact with people over the years has been the huge part of it. There's some photos there that mean a lot to me of people that have gone now, volunteer guides that have passing on some of my passion for cycling to the staff at the top there as well and getting them out cycling. A whole lot of experiences. By the way, that's Michelle Sim in an NH90 helicopter going for a hoon with me. Lots of different experiences as well. But the most powerful part of being an educator within a museum, as I said, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. And for me, it's all about special needs. It's so cool to follow Amy, who's now on our team, talking about accessibility. We're so pleased to have her on the team because accessibility and inclusiveness is where it's at for me, personally, and also for the team as well. This was a group from Rangiora High School, so from my old school that came in last year, special needs group, and to have that experience and to experience that positivity, the change that you can make in people's lives is just absolutely huge. I'm sorry, I've gone over time, but yeah. Kia ora koutou, thank you.